Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be building up a Japanese icon of the 90s, the Honda NSX, not in LEGO, but Mattel bricks. This lovely kit was gifted to me for my birthday by my partner, which I'm very grateful for. She picked out probably the best car that these Hot Wheels brick cars offer, so I was very excited to start building this one. Mattel, who owns Hot Wheels, started making these brick cars about a year ago if I remember correctly, and are a strong contender to the LEGO icon sets, but at a much more affordable price. Does this mean that the quality is worse? I guess we'll find out by the end of the video. Once completed, this model builds up to a nice 1/16 scale, which is quite large, but allows for there to be a lot of detail, including a nice dashboard and great engine details. As you can see from the video, you get a nice 1/64 scale model of the car. You get two sets of rims, one of which is made out of metal, which is the raised ones in the gold leaf color. And then you obviously the 4 sets of wheels, which have the brake discs molded into them, which has some pretty nice detail. Unfortunately, you don't get the caliper, but you know, it is what it is. It's still a great amount of detail. Moving on, we have our first two bags here, 1 and 2, which will be building up mainly the base of the car. Starting off, I will say the quality of the bricks overall is alright. I'd say yeah, probably on par with LEGO. There are some issues which I'll touch on when we get to those. These pieces you see here, there was one of them that like wasn't really going on properly, and it took me a while, but eventually it gets supported by another piece, so it gets on and stays on pretty well. But yeah, other than that, I think the fit overall is good. Yeah, so as you can see here, these were some of the pieces where I found that they were really scratched, which is a shame because, you know, you had this nice printed on detail, but then the pieces are really scratched. In the final model, you don't really see these pieces much, so it's not too much of an issue, but you know, it's something to keep in mind. Here, these two pieces of the base snap on together really nicely, and they create a very sturdy piece. This interesting piece here is probably like the anti-LEGO piece. It's really interesting, but it ends up creating a really good connector piece. Moving on already to our bags 3 and 4, if I'm not mistaken, here we're building up some more of the rear side of the car. Here you have the rear fenders. These are some really nice pieces. They have a very small mold line going across, but you know, I wasn't going to go and fix that just because, you know, this was made out of bricks, and I'm not making a model car in 24 scale, so I was just going to leave it. This one does have the fuel door molded on, sorry, not molded on, as a printed on sticker, I guess. It's ever so slightly wonky, so you know, some quality control does need to be done slightly better. Here we were fitting the rear diffuser that also houses the exhaust pipes. Really nice, everything fits together nice and tightly, and yeah, I wasn't really having any issues. As you can see already, it's starting to take somewhat of a shape, and it's a rather large model, as I was saying, in 1/16 scale. Especially, I mean, I'm used to working with 1/24 on the model cars, and this one being 1/16 is quite a bit larger than your typical 1/24 scale car. Moving on to bags 5 and 6, this will be doing a bit more work on the rear side and mainly the engine. We have these two rubber pieces which are quite interesting, and you'll see in a bit that they make up some pipes and maybe wires that go from the engine. The NSX was a mid-engined car, so obviously the engine sat behind the driver. Here I'm pulling out the Honda and the Japanese plate because the kit is technically made to be an Acura NSX, but I don't want to make the Acura, I want to make the Honda. So yeah, you get the pieces from the number 15 bag, and you have here the badge for Honda, and below you've got the Japanese number plate. In my opinion, it just looks better, and I've always known it as the Honda NSX, and yeah, to me, this car's always been a Honda NSX, not an Acura. Here we've got some side pieces that just go by the rear fenders and sit right behind the main doors, which will be one of the final steps, which you'll see later on. Here we have a really nice VTEC badge that goes on the engine. Unfortunately, I did lose the footage of me building because I think my phone overheated, and yeah, that's great. But here it is, nice engine. It's got decent detail for the scale, and yeah, nothing to complain about. Here we have those pipes I was talking about that make up wires or some other pipes of the engine. And yeah, I really like how this worked in the final build. It actually does look quite nice from the rear window, and you can see straight into the engine bay. After a bit of fiddling around with these pipes, they fit really nicely and actually follow the instruction booklet pattern really well. Moving on to bags 7 and 8, if I'm not mistaken. Here I was working with making the steering working, because this does have working steering through both the steering wheel and the wheels itself, which is really cool. At first I did put those two pieces together completely wrong and had to take them apart and put them right, but that's user error, not on the kit. Something else to mention here is I'll be not following what it says in the instructions, again because the instructions are made for the Acura, which is left-hand drive, whereas we want to make the right-hand drive Honda NSX. What you're seeing in the instruction books is different to what I'm doing. I'm basically reversing, or you know, just kind of doing the opposite of what it's saying in the booklet. The steering wheel fits really nicely. It's a rather simple system, so I doubt anybody can really get this wrong. It's very positive, and the travel of the actual steering isn't that much on the steering wheel, so obviously it's not one-to-one with the real car, but you won't notice it too much later on. Here we have bags 9 and 10, and this will be for building up the dashboard section and then the front fenders. We have the radio here, which is really nice. Unfortunately on my top piece, it looked like the printing was done a bit wrong, but that's alright. The dashboard here with the instrument clutter is really nicely molded. I have no complaints, everything went together really nicely and looks really good. Here we have the front fenders, once again molded all as one piece and looks great. Here we have the aircon vents coming through. Again, really nice printed pieces, and that is the cockpit of the car done. Well, I guess the interior, this is not a plane. Here I am making the front splitter, really nice sub-assembly, everything fits really nicely, really positive, tight fit, and yeah, again, nothing to complain about. If anything, sometimes things are a bit too tight on this kit, and I needed to kind of like slightly push things just so that they'd fit, but again, they'd fit really nicely, really tight, doesn't feel like anything's going to break off. Moving on to bags 11 and 12. Here again, just a couple more sub-assemblies. This will be for another piece on the front and the glass piece on the back between the interior and the engine. If you guys are enjoying this video, please do leave a like down below and leave me a comment saying what car you would like to see built up in bricks and if I should get any more of these Mattel sets. Everything fits on very nicely, as has been the theme for the rest of this build. And that just about completes the front splitter and exhaust, the intake grille. Here now we're going to be building up the lights. This does feature the pop-up headlights, which actually work. You can put them up and down, which I think is an incredibly nice feature to have. When I was building the Lego F40, it was something that I was ashamed we didn't have, although I guess it's a bit too small to be able to have that functionality, but you know, small things, but they make a difference, and here we do get them, and you can put them up and down, which I was really happy about, and I'll show you in just a second how that works. And there you go, you know, can't complain about that, looks amazing. Here we're building up that rear glass piece, I guess to view the engine from the inside and, well, see behind you. But yeah, very nice, everything fits well. Here this was like really tight to get into there, but got there in the end. Seats build up really nicely. They're two sub-assemblies that then come together with these two smooth pieces. But yeah, everything fits nicely, and you can have the seats swivel like, guess, forwards and backwards ever so slightly, but there's not that much room, so you're just gonna have them pushed kind of backwards against the back of the interior, and yeah, I guess they fit well. But if you wanted, you could push them slightly forward, and yeah, they would look alright. Moving on to bags 13 and 14, this will be the front hood, if I'm not mistaken, and the rear and front glass. I'm very glad I don't have to paint up the glass on this kit. Doing it on the Nissan Skyline for the last build was probably one of the most traumatizing processes. I don't know how much tape I used up. I mean, in the end it came out looking great, but you know, it is what it is. Here luckily we have everything painted up for you, which is a nice break to take. Especially when I'm going to be tackling a couple interesting kits very soon in the future, so be sure to subscribe to stay tuned for that. Here we're building up the iconic rear spoiler, which again made very nicely and all smooth. Something which I really do appreciate about this kit in general is a lot of the surfaces end up being in the smooth finish rather than like the bricks, which is something that Lego tends to not do much of with the Speed Champions. Sometimes the actual like bricks are showing and they're not smooth, and I feel like it kind of takes away from the look a little bit, but you know, that might just be personal preference, could just be me. Here I was taking extreme caution to not touch the glass with my hands and my fingers, because for some reason my hands were very sweaty when I was making this build, and I would have left some really nasty fingerprints on there. So yeah, I tried to be as discreet as I could and not touch the glass. Here again, really nice, pre-painted. One complaint is, unfortunately, I had two slight cuts in the glass, which was a shame, because you know, especially for how it's packaged, I expected it to be flawless, but no, unfortunately it wasn't. You can kind of make them out in the video, but yeah, you can't notice them too much on the final build, but it is definitely something that I wanted to mention. Here we are getting very close to finishing this kit now, and in fact it did not take me long. I think in total it might have taken me 4 hours of a slight on and off work, but it essentially took me one afternoon and I was finished, which is very different to the usual model making that I do. Here we then put on the roof and the front hood, and yeah, everything is looking great. Again, the Honda logo, you do have to fish that out of the number 15 bag. Here we have that metal raise rim. They look great, and they've got a great weight to them as well, because they are made out of metal, and yeah, they just make it feel very premium. Again, you can see they're nice and shiny. The raise logo is printed on very nicely. Tread is quite nice, and yeah, I've got no complaints about these wheels. They also roll exceptionally well. Now we are nearing the end of this build. We essentially just have the doors to build up and put on, which you can see here. Again, very nice. And then we have some slight customization to do, which is something that I really appreciate about this kit. You can do some customization in the form of some decals that you can see in the top right, as well as removing the sunroof and turning this into a safety car with the light bar on top. Here we've got the wing mirrors, again small side sub-assembly, but very quick to build up and very nice. And yeah, here we go, the build is finished and it looks great. I really enjoyed making this. Now let's move on to those decals. Slightly different, you know, they're not water slide, which I appreciate, but I've learned to use those now, so it's not really much of a problem. These stick on really nicely, really simple to use. Here I'm using my flat tweezers, which really help out with making sure that I'm putting these on straight, because I will crash out if I put these wrong and then they just won't look right to me. Yeah, they have a slight film on top which you can see ever so slightly. It's not too bad, but you know, I'm not going to complain. As I said, these are not water slide decals, but they do a great job. And here we are, here's the very final piece to my model. I'm not going to be doing anything else, but I did want to put the Rays and the Toyo tires stickers on it. And with that, the Honda NSX is complete. Enjoy some pictures, and please let me know what you think and if you would buy this kit yourself. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day. See you in the next one.